Fair. Beep. There we go on both ends. Welcome back.
Welcome back.
The Lousy Show. I love how I don't know if we ever talked about this. I love that intro because it was so like we did that just so organically a long time ago. It's always stuck.
What the welcome?
You ever
back?
notice that? Yeah. Like it's always I go, welcome back, and you're welcome back, and I go to the Lousy Show. Like that was organic. We didn't come up with that. We just did it.
We're professionals.
That's a strong word. I'm not gonna lie. I don't even want to preamble this. I am so invested in what we're talking about today. I want to jump in so bad because this is like there's a cabal of nudity happening across the internet.
A cabal of nudity.
A cabal of nudity happening across the internet. And this is coming from somebody who is very comfortable with his nude body and doesn't mind like walking around buck ass naked. But I'm telling you right now, there's a cabal of nudity happening and it's fucking weird, man. Like the fact that people are getting away with this.
Well, so, yeah, it's definitely so. Topic today, when what stemmed this whole thing. So we have our joint Lousy Show account that
correct. Both of us have access to this.
I upload into it. He'll go in and pretty it up and do all the tags, and then we'll both like look at analytics and money and blah blah blah, and Yeah. Anyway, just like any other YouTube channel, just like you do right now, if you go to youtube.com and pull up the homepage, there's going to be recommended videos, usually based off of your watch history.
Correct.
We don't really watch anything on this account.
Yeah.
This one's pretty much plain. Like he'll occasionally watch a wrestling video on there.
Well, I would like to say, and I was going to say that the only reason those show up is because I'll forget I'm logged into ours.
Yeah.
And I'll start a video and I'll go, oh, and I'll get hit with an ad, and then I'll go over to my account to get off of ads so I can watch it there. So YouTube thinks we're trying to watch that on there. So that's why that shows up.
Yeah. And so and that I get, but so that does still feed into the algorithm.
Yes.
Technically. But recently there have been butts and titties and a lot, and not just like covered up ones. So it seems to be that people have found a little loophole in the YouTube terms of service to where if there's like and it's usually like, and we watched it for science, of course. But at the beginning, it'll say like, this is not for sexual gratification. Good God, are you looking at the gates of heaven right now? It's Pornhub.com. No, but they'll have like a little disclaimer at the beginning that says this is not for sexual gratification, even though it very clearly is by a
I'll read. I just pulled up the YouTube terms of service on nudity, and so here's what it says: clearly outlined. Explicit content meant to be sexually gratifying is not allowed on YouTube. Posting pornography may result in content removal or channel termination. Videos containing fetish content will be removed or age restricted. In most cases, violent, graphic, or humiliating fetishes are not allowed on YouTube. This goes on to say, if you're posting explicit content that violates this policy could result in channel termination. This policy applies to real-world dramatized, illustrated, and animated content, including sex scenes, video games, and music. Don't post content on YouTube if it shows the depiction of clothed or unclothed genitals, breasts, or buttocks that are meant for sexual gratification, pornography that depicts of sexual acts, or fetishes that are meant for sexual gratification.
Yeah.
That is directly from YouTube.
And I'm sure there are some people that have done something similar to this that was actually not meant to be sexually gratifying. But the thing is people that are doing it, and then in their about, they have a link tree to their OnlyFans, so, or something like that. So we just off the cuff, we were just like, fuck it, let's do a podcast episode about this.
Yeah.
And talk about what's going on with this. I mean, I respect the hustle, don't get me wrong. But if you're, especially like, it should be a little bit concerning if it's just somebody getting on youtube.com and they don't have an account or anything like that, and then that's what pops up, and you don't want inappropriate stuff coming up,
Let's pump the brakes for a second.
Okay.
Let's take this back a little bit. Okay. So we all are adults here. Hopefully, if you're watching this, if you're not, I would recommend turning this off.
Yeah, maybe don't.
like we've all seen pornographic content in some capacity on the internet, not maybe for pleasure, but you've seen it in some form or fashion.
Yeah.
And, or at least know it exists. And if you remember, if you think back a few months ago, we had a giant uproar on streaming sites, much like Kick and Twitch, where Twitch was allowing artistic nudity.
Yeah.
And in 24 hours terminated that terms of service because you had like all of your hot tub, folks straight up basically wearing like next to nothing covered. And it was supposed to be artistic. You had VTubers who were drawing massive fucking wieners on their models and letting these things fucking swing in the wind, dude.
I'm just getting like flashbacks to the Waluigi thing in the Am I the Asshole we did a while ago.
Yes. But like, and so you hear the uproar for that, and everyone very quickly was just like, no, shut it down. Like, some people out there, and I admit for me, myself, on the streaming side of things, like when it came to artistic nudity, I'm like, if it's artistic nudity, if it's not just someone trying to like finger bang themselves or stroke their wiener, like, cool. If it's artistic nudity, like if you're doing body painting or something like that, that's dope.
Yeah.
Like, that's really cool. I think that is a great piece of art that you're putting together. Sick. Awesome. If you're drawing artistic nudity, like you're drawing characters in art form, like you see a lot of anime characters with very exaggerated genitalia and such, like, okay, sure. But if it's artistic, if it's cool, that you have a skill set that I do not attain. Like I've not attained. But when you start pushing those boundaries, there's that problem. Like, like we gave you an inch, you took a country mile.
Mm-hmm.
Then we get to today where on YouTube, we're still like, they're still allowing this. Like if it's for artistic purposes or for educational purposes, sure. But there's nothing, and this is a male take for everybody watching, sure. Yeah. But I put this in perspective. There's nothing educational about a woman trying on a damn near transparent, bodycon dress.
Yeah.
If I were to do that and my wiener were poking out, somebody's gonna be like, get that man arrested right now and lock his ass and lock his ass behind bars for the rest of his life.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna back you up for a second, because like you could potentially do it for like actually reviewing it or trying it on. Like, and so there are some people that do that, but the people that are doing it in this scenario are under the guise of said video. Mm-hmm. But they're like, oh, and this also they'll have a mirror set up behind them or something like that so that you can see other things, we'll say. So it's clearly an exploitation of the rules.
This is one of those times I wish we could do a visual representation of this for people to see, but we would get not only TOS, we would be like potentially getting banned.
Yeah.
Like just so quickly.
Well, you know what we're saying.
Yeah. But like, I remember when you and I first saw it, we
watched.
I also want to say this.
No, I'm just kidding.
I do want to say this for reference sake, because I know we've gotten called out for this shit before.
Yeah.
There is truly nothing wrong with you expressing yourself in any capacity.
No.
However, when you purposefully try to exploit the rules, and it's not the same across the board for every creator, that's where I have a problem. Yeah. Because I have seen creators get banned for doing that shit. I've seen creators on the streaming side, on YouTube side, just on TikTok side, who get banned for even remotely being too sexual. But then we have a random video put together where clearly you threw your video from your phone up on CapCut, you put in the left corner, this is for educational purposes, and your nude body is on full display as you're trying on a dress. And to your point, like, and this is something that we've seen, again, we have checked this, it's a very high probability, especially for the ones that we have checked. The range was definitely, I would say, like every 4 out of 5 had some sort of sexually explicit link in their bio or in their link tree. So it's not it's no longer for educational purposes.
No.
You're trying to exploit to a different area where you can get money for your sexual content. And there's nothing wrong with having an OnlyFans. There's nothing wrong with having a Fansly. There's nothing wrong with having, whatever, sexual site you want. If that's what your vibe is, that's your vibe.
Yeah.
But when you start blurring those lines and trying to pull that over into a site where it's not okay, come on.
Yeah.
Like, I'm all for it. I look, I'm a dude. I love boobs. Like, you got a big butt. That's awesome. Like, that's cool. I'm down with that. That's great. But there's a time and place. Like you can't just try and bend the rules for yourself when other people are legitimately getting banned and losing their accounts, losing their livelihood on some situations, depending on how big their account is, because they try to do the same thing and it was flagged as sexual.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I mean, and it can really kind of damage people because like the people that are doing legitimately can then, like, let's say YouTube, like, swings a hammer and says absolutely not. And then they kind of regress a little bit to the point where, like, then that affects somebody's livelihood as far as like the videos that they produce, then, that can get potentially problematic. And we've seen that time and time again happen on like either, YouTube or on the Twitch side or, whatever else. But it's it can set a dangerous precedent for sure.
I agree.
That we definitely need to be mindful of. This also kind of reminds me too of like people using, because in this scenario it's like a fashion thing. It's like not supposed, it's artistically expressive. There's also a subsect of YouTube where there's the medical side of things. It's like how to do some things. And so what made me think of this, because this kind of has some corollaries, is on Your Mom's House podcast with Tom Segura and his wife, Christina
P.
They found there's a guy that was showing you how to use Nair down there.
Yes,
you could see it all, but it was an instructional video. The guy wasn't trying to do anything weird or gross. Like, you could see a couple things, but like, it wasn't like he was jerking it while he was doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So like, that's actual kind of medical stuff. And then they even went on, because they have a part of their whole like podcast conglomerate is they have what's his name? It's a doctor.
I
can't think of it right now, but basically they were like, hey, could we do this with something else? And they actually did basically like how to check your balls kind of video. But it was very well done and it was all 100% above board. But it's a crazy thing. But then there were people that were exploiting Dr. Drew. Thank you. There were people that are exploiting that side of things as well. So it's it's fucking weird.
Well, and that's the problem, is it comes down to exploitation. Like you have genuine creators out there, and I can, and again, I know I don't talk about the streaming side a lot. I try and typically keep that. It's funny. I keep that separate from this, but I keep this very in the front of that.
yeah, you do.
And because I love this show and I love what we do, and I love that we have the ability. These microphones have power behind them, and we are able to talk about things. And you listen, and I appreciate that. Sam appreciates that. Yep. Like the fact that you all come back to hear this, it's great. So I try and typically keep the streaming side separate from this, but like this is one of those times where I can really dive into that and navigate appropriately, because I've seen so much. Like, I'm always in that fold of streaming when it comes to the sexually explicit content, because that's been such a big, massive topic of conversation across streaming sites for so long. I mean, hell, when Kick got its jump off and all these creators left Twitch to go over to Kick, people were always like, oh man, Twitch is, pools and hot tub section is awful. And then everyone's like, hold up, have you looked over on Kick yet? And you go over there and you would see a chick like full topless, string thong, camera angle right up her ass crack. And it's like, huh? Like, we're allowing this? Just a few weeks ago, Twitch had to ban green screen clothing because you had ladies and dudes wearing very minimal clothing, green screening whatever they were doing through it. And so you're seeing a whole lot of skin, and in the areas where the naughty bits would be is green screened to where you're seeing like a fraction of a video game happening in the background.
That's creative. I'll give them that. Like,
it's creative as fuck, but it's like, but what you're doing is you're going, okay, we're pushing the boundaries. We're going to see how far we can go. And I understand that there's a line, and I'm sure some people would be like, you know, well, it's better to ask for forgiveness than ask for permission. Sure. But the problem that I have is you can't ask for forgiveness when you've already gotten slapped on the wrist for it a few times before.
Yeah.
You know, like, we know where the line is. You're just trying to push that envelope as far as you can go. And on the YouTube side, like, I don't go to YouTube for any pornography. Like, let's just be real here.
No.
Like, my first thought isn't YouTube. It's, you know, I go to YouTube to watch, like earlier, I was watching Mr. Beast video, the most recent one he put out with the dude who it was his third chance and last chance at winning money. Like I was watching that video. I go to YouTube to watch wrestling highlights. I go to YouTube to watch Dr. Disrespect or Tim the Tap Man or movie trailers or whatever. You know, everyone's got their flavor when it goes to YouTube. But when you start seeing these videos pop up, and albeit very randomly, because like to your point earlier, we don't look that shit up on our account. That's something that's never been, and you can go in our search history. That has never been a searched item in our account.
No.
But the fact that YouTube is going, hey, we're gonna push this content and see what you think.
Yeah.
What? Like,
to a basically
YouTube.
Nobody account. Like, yeah, we're like age verified and, you know, identity verified because of what we do. But it's a bit concerning.
Well, it's to your point earlier. You said, what if a kid makes a brand new account?
Or even if they're not even on an account, they just go youtube.com and they're just,
you
know, straight on there,
boom,
totally anonymous.
titties.
Like, yep. So I really hope that YouTube, at least in that scenario, is, you know, making sure to, if it's got any kind of tags like that it's pulling it back. But
yeah,
YouTube's a really big ship to steer. So, like, you know, there's small little things like that are going to slip through the cracks, but it's been popping up so much that we're like, there's no way that we're the only ones. So I'd be curious, try it. Just go to youtube.com and like incognito and just see what kind of heinous shit you see popped up.
I'm actually,
it's gonna be a hell of a lot of Mr. Beast. That's for sure. But yeah,
I'm going to do that right now. youtube.com, the gates of heaven. It says try searching to get started.
It wants to try
I don't
to
want
find
to do
something.
So it's not forcing that. Hold on.
Okay.
So let me go to trending. Okay. So trending, not doing it. That's good. Typical stuff, hot ones, music videos. Let's go to fashion and beauty. Let's see how that works out. Met Gala, a lot of Vogue stuff.
That kind of reminds me. Did you see? There's a bunch of creators that, or at least a few. I saw Ludwig do it, where he would start a totally fresh YouTube account, no history on it, you know, and on on some people even did on like virtual machines and stuff like that, and then they would just like watch shorts for like 1,000 shorts just to see where the algorithm took them. And it was an interesting experiment because a lot of it was like Mr. Beast, like fucking crazy. And then, you know, some of it, you know, they get onto one thing and then it's like, oh, you like that? I'm going to show you a lot of it, you know? So.
Yeah. Markiplier's done that. Markiplier did the deep dive of like, if you start a fresh account, like log in under a fresh email, like never had that account before.
Yeah.
And you click on one video, what recommended keeps showing up. And it got to a point where he was watching videos. He's like, I didn't even know this shit existed on YouTube. Like,
yeah.
You really start to see, like, and I actually researched this just now to see how many videos are currently on YouTube, and they have not done an update since January. But as of January 2024, it's estimated that there are more than 14 billion videos. So, and my question is then this: with the fact that we are discussing the the rise of this nudity content on YouTube, my question would be this, and again, to the point I made earlier, the rules need to be the same for everyone. Is this something YouTube is going to continue to allow? Or is this something where people are pushing that line to see how far they can tow until YouTube goes, stop it?
Yeah.
And if YouTube's going to say, stop it, is YouTube going to correct it for everyone? You know, like, are we just picking and choosing creators, or are we going to make sure that every single individual that does this is getting the smack on the wrist?
Yeah.
Like, that's something that we really have to look at as a whole, especially like us being YouTube creators, is the content we put out. You know, we oftentimes have to ask ourselves, like, is that pushing TOS? Because we say some heinous shit on this show. Let's be real. Like, like, look at last week. Like, you know, we say some heinous shit, but there are times when we go, okay, we know where that line is.
Yeah.
We're not trying to push past that line.
Mm.
But I guarantee you, if next week on the podcast I showed up in transparent fucking pants, or I showed up in jeans with a fucking clear like plexiglass window in my dick, I'm gonna get fucking canceled. I'm gonna get TOS'd. I'm getting ripped in half. Like, that's the problem I have, is it's not the same across the board. If we're gonna allow artistic nudity, sure, go for it. I don't care. But YouTube doesn't allow that. So why are we allowing these videos to continue?
Yeah.
Or is it really that simple where we're putting a fucking for educational purposes, but you watch a video and you're like, this is definitely not educational.
Yeah.
You haven't said a fucking word. Like, you know, like, you're not teaching me about the sizes here. You're teaching me that, yep, I can see your boobs. Cool. Like,
and just to be clear, like, we're all for like freeing the nipple. Like, you know, we don't care
absolutely.
about, like, you know, we're not trying to be derogatory or misogynistic or anything else like that. Like, you know, we're just, if there's going to be a base set of rules, it needs to be enforced and followed across the board.
That's the same thing I said on the Twitch side. And I cannot echo that sentiment enough, Sam, is you are exactly right. Like, we are not trying to sit here and say, like, hide your titties. Like, no, like, we are 1000% for everyone. Like, and I know you've heard me say this time and time and time again. I think I even said it last week. If it doesn't hurt me, and it doesn't hurt you, and it doesn't hurt the people around you, who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
The problem is, like, to your point, if we're going to have a set base of rules, they need to be established and followed and agreed upon, so we all know what the fuck's going on here.
Mm.
You know, that's the problem I have. Like, when you look at the streaming side, again, same thing. When everyone took that inch and ran a fucking country mile with it and started putting wieners on their damn, you know, drawings and trying to be VTubers with massive horse cocks, you know, or trying to be just super nude live, where, especially on a site where kids actively thrive in, like, okay, where are we dropping the line here for the rules? You know, we're all for everyone being comfortable with themselves, but we all still have to abide by the same set of rules. If YouTube came out tomorrow and said, hey, we're updating our TOS guidelines, we're going to allow artistic nudity, we're going to allow these transparent try-ons, we're going to allow XYZ things to allow for nudity to be present, cool.
Sweet.
But that hasn't happened.
Yeah.
And it blows my mind that kind of content is being pushed and recommended, especially in a channel that you and I have not looked at.
No, not at all. But I think
unless you're secretly doing it,
no, I would have told you. I'd been like, no, that was me, dog. But that's not where I'm at. Let's just say.
Comes to me like, I got something to tell you.
Yeah, that was all just a bit. No, I'm just kidding. No, I think I think the ultimate kind of problem with all of that, though, is for YouTube to come out and say something like that. At the end of the day, they still have to appease the number one thing, and it's not their community. It's not the people that actually frequent it. It's the advertisers that pay the bills. And so, you know, whichever one gives them the fattest check can say, hey, I don't want that. And they'll be like, you know what? That sounds like a great idea. Let's kill it. And so, you know, and that's a whole different can of worms that we could go down. We're not going to go down that today, but it's at the end of the day, that's kind of what it boils down to, is YouTube's not going to take a stance because it's not in their best interest to do so.
And honestly, like, I want to add to that for the advertiser side. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. I agree with you 100% there. But I will say, if there's a level in which for demonetization we allow that to happen, sure. Because advertisers are going to be like, no, I don't. Unless it's like Blue Chew or some shit, like, or you know, some heinous company where they're like, we don't give a fuck. Push boner pills, hell yeah. Like, but if it's a level in which we're going to approve it, cool. And if advertisers are against it, okay, well then just demonetize the fucking video. Like, if we're okay with titties, but advertisers don't like titties, then just demonetize the video.
Yeah.
Like, there's no other stance needed at that point. So, just a thought.
Yeah. And then at that point, will they even do it if there's no money to be had demonetizing the video? So, might be the answer to our problem right there.
and rightfully so. I mean, they're a massive conglomerate, but I mean, at the end of the day, Google, who owns YouTube, Google's gonna go where the money is. That's a fact. And if there's money in transparent try-ons, awesome. But I can almost guarantee advertisers are gonna be like, to your point too, advertisers will be like, no, fuck no. Like, we're not gonna go down that path. We're not gonna allow that to continue because we don't align with that.
No.
You know, unless we start seeing like,
everything around me.
Unless we start seeing like, you know, titties on Church's chicken commercials. Who fucking knows? Like,
Churches.
I think I'm onto something there. Actually,
we've got a marketing idea for you.
Let us
make sure it's in some like
comments.
lace lingerie, and then it's fine.
Valid. No, seriously, let us know what you think in the comments. Again, you know, we're not trying to be hateful in any way.
No.
We're not trying to be, you know, bigoted or anything like that. It's a genuine, not even concern, but more of just a question of like,
just want to bring attention to it. Say like, hey, what do, you know? What do?
No, exactly right. Yeah. But let us know in the comments what you think. We'd definitely love to know. And we'll see how this goes. I'm curious to see if we're going to keep. I'm curious once this episode comes out, if we're going to be served more of that. Like if YouTube's like, oh,
we did some research, so probably
this is valid. I'm actually, let me refresh our page real quick. I'm just curious.
It's just going to be all.
Let's see. 1, 2. See that? Okay.
Also, while he's looking at that, let us know if you've experienced anything like this on YouTube.
Yes, please do. The title of this one is laced with pushing boundaries. No bra, no panties, crying emoji. Or excuse me, not crying emoji, whimpering emoji, like my see-through Japanese school uniform.
Ew.
And then at the very beginning of this video, it says, and I quote, "Warning, this professional video reviews the form and function of clothing and is not meant to be sexually gratifying. Some clothing is transparent, so viewer discretion is advised." And I'm not going to take into account the individual in question. Like, sure, very gamer girl-esque, but like, no, like, this isn't okay. If we're going to allow this, allow it across the board. But what? Like, no, I don't know. I'm confused. I'm confused because I don't understand why that's okay on YouTube. If it is, cool, but we need some clarification on this.
Yep.
But to answer the further question, 1, 2, 3. Oh, they're live. They're live doing this. 4. 5.
I don't know if it's the same live one, but the live one is what sparked this whole thing.
Yeah. 5 already in the first 5 rows.
Yeah, we're fucked. We ruined our algorithm, so you don't have to.
dude, no, this one actually is the account is C Gets Naked.
I wonder what they do.
4K transparent white dress dry versus wet challenge. Clicked on the video to see the account. First thing you see, she's in the shower, topless. Video cuts off here. Like, what? And then there's a Beacons account. Yep, there's a Beacons account. Oh, it even says in her bio, she's a hot mess stripper, online lover. So she's not even trying to hide it. Yeah, first thing you see, OnlyFans.
Yep.
Again,
wrap it up, buddy.
I echo the point.
Yeah.
Huh?
I said, wrap it up. Come on.
No, like, I did that because I genuinely was curious to see like how many were showing up. But again, I go back to that same point that we made before. Like, if it's to that degree where we're trying to push sexually explicit content, which there's a time and place for that, ladies and men both, and non-binary pals, if you do it, awesome, good for you. Very difficult to get in that industry. If you're doing that, like, sure, there's a time and place for it, but that you're not even trying to hide it at that point.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to continue down the rabbit hole. We've already made our points. Let us know what you think in the comments. And like Sam said, is this something that you've seen as well? We're genuinely curious on this. We have fucked our algorithm up entirely. I'm not gonna be surprised if I go to like work on the details for this, video, and all I see is just look at all of it
from now on. Yep.
Yeah, we're fucked.
Yep.
So you don't have to be. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Click the button. It's like over there somewhere, I think. Wait, no. Yeah, it's over there somewhere. Yes, it's over there. Subscribe to the channel.
I don't know.
Like,
There's a button
we'll
somewhere.
figure it out.
Click it. Yeah.
We appreciate y'all watching. We'll see you in the next one.
Bye.
Later.